Hi, everyone. Welcome to the podcast. We have good friend and mentor, Brother Eli Weber, who's been kind enough to join us today for our monthly podcast symposium update. We're going to see what he's up to, and we'll share our normal information. So if you are new to the channel, please do like, subscribe, and share so it gets out to new people. How are you doing today, brother?
We're doing great. I'm really excited about hearing what you think about all the relationship between Bitcoin and silver and what you're seeing.
Sure. Well, before we get into all that fun stuff, because I know people would rather hear from you anyway. You're the better handsome dude.
About that.
To see what's going on new, exciting in your world.
Right. So we're homesteading and we bought this property. It's a rather large property in Arizona. It's in the mountains in the desert, Mojave Desert
Mm,
near Kingman.
okay.
It's 12 miles from the highway. In other words, we have to go 12 miles of dirt roads to get here, and they're
Mm,
treacherous, like steep roads. But we're really making it work. We've already accumulated two generators. We got a bunch of solar panels, which I haven't hooked up yet, and we're just loving being in the world, in our own sort of like it's hard to describe, but like
yeah.
everything up here sort of matters. It's really fun.
Well, you have your priorities straight. I call it like an off-grid bubble. So you're kind of where I want to be, but in Tennessee in that regard with land and so forth. So I can totally appreciate that. It's funny you mentioned the solar panels. Did you know that each solar panel has about 2 ounces of silver as a segue to our discussion?
Interesting.
Isn't
Yeah,
it?
this is the first time I've owned a solar. Well, no, I have a solar panel on the roof of the RV, but it's really too small to really produce much. But yeah, I mean, I'm probably going to into town at some point soon to get some silver. I mean, I think I lost all my silver on my way out here. In order to get here, I had to go through several vehicles, and I got ripped off a lot. So
Mm,
all
sure.
my gold and silver was gone by the time I got here. So now I'm trying to accumulate a little bit again.
Sure. We'll help you get there as a team. And I just want to say something to your audience before we get started with what you want to know, so you don't feel like I was ignoring you. Um, we realize that some of your audience, they're a diverse groups. Some are Christians, some are Jewish, some are spiritualists. That's fine. I've seen some of your comments from your people, like money is we're not going to need it. That's true. Money is a means to an end, and it means to an end, but it's also a gateway to get us to the other side. And just so you folks know, as they say back east in New York, not for nothing, but yeah, I know you've heard that many times. Not for nothing, but we have plans for Eli in the back end. And I'm just making a point for the audience. We have plans to bless Eli quietly on the back end to help. Just it's nothing major, but just to give him a kickstart, because the whole point of this wealth is to be generous and to bless those less fortunate, whether you're a Christian or you're not. If you're if you're a pure-hearted person, you understand that servitude is the key, and being of service to others who are less fortunate is really the critical. That's the heart of Christ, or Yeshua, or you would say the Rebbe. That's the heart of the foundation, and he and I both fundamentally understand that. So please don't get it twisted that this is all about avariciousness, greed, and money, because it's really not. At the end of the day, this is about being free to set others free in generosity. So just want to set the table, Eli, for that. So
Yeah, I want to say also that
please.
in terms of like the solar panels, which I think is a critical kind of thing,
Mhm.
that it takes money to buy solar panels, and
Yeah.
I started talking to the man I eventually we just bought some panels, but I've been talking to him for several months. I talked to him when I didn't have money. A little money came forth from my retirement fund, so I suddenly had money, and it was like I'm telling people now to really get your ducks in a row, to really do the work, to do the action, to be ready, to have people you want to turn to if you want to invest quickly, because
Mhm.
I think it right now is a time when we really need to be active participants in kind of downloading the future.
100%. 100%. And let me answer your question real quick about the crypto market. First of all, I haven't talked to you since the election. So thank God President Trump won. Oh, thank you, Jesus.
Thank God.
Great relief.
That's
Look
a
at
big one. That's a big
oh,
one.
huge. Look at the epic butt kicking he's doing just a week
Yeah.
after the post elections. winning the House, the Senate, the popular vote, which I think if there's no cheating, he probably would have won by even, I'm sure, a bigger margin. I think we all know. But he's to your question, he's pro crypto. We're going to start seeing as the year ticks away into the next year, the new year. We're going to see the bull market really start to kick in, as we talked about for cryptos, XRP. I know it's a sensitive subject. I don't mean it that way, but I'm just saying you're going to see growth aggressively with that. You're seeing a massive jump in XRP. We believe the price point, I think it's close to 90,000 now. We think it's going to top out at 150 before it starts, 150,000 next year before it starts to come down. But I know some people like crypto, excuse me, some people like Bitcoin, some people hate it. I think what's going to happen ultimately, Eli, is it's going to be used. It's everything is used for evil. The dollar has been used for evil. Sex trafficking, we know what they did with gangs, money laundering, the mafia, the internet. Everything has a duality of good and bad to it, ultimately. But I think ultimately as well that Bitcoin will be used for good and be tied at some point to gold. Because if you listen to, I know you do X22, fellow mensch Dave from New York, he talks about the interconnectivity between Bitcoin and gold. And so I think there's a story to that. There's a concrete thread that is being, weaved for us to see. So I would say for the next 4 or 5 years, Christian or not, it's a good market to be in to capitalize as part of the wealth transfer. But then let's say Agenda 2030. I'm not saying that that's going to happen. We have to pray against that, but that's their plan still. After that, I would say probably around the end of this decade, get off that boat and just rake in the harvest. Kind of like, back in New York, there's seasons, right? Some trees fall the fall, then they die, and then they come back again. Things are seasonal. This financial aspect is likewise. There's a period of time for this harvest that we can grab it, use it for God's people for good, and then move on, right? And so I hope that answers your question.
Yeah, I think so. I mean, I think it's really a very exciting time, and I think this is a time to be very proactive in your investments. I'm also very interested in DJT. I've had some success with that stock, and it's down now around 27.
Mm-hmm.
It was up around 60 was sort of the high or something like that. But I remember when it first came out, it was all at 60. I couldn't really buy any shares. It was too expensive. And now it's around 20. I think, the shift has a kind of a morality, a kind of a, uh, a broader theme, which is, like you said, good versus evil. And
Mm-hmm.
it's my opinion that that good will totally wipe out evil. And
Yeah.
it says in the Garden of Eden, good and evil got mixed together, and that as we come into the era of Mashiach, whether it's Jesus or the Rebbe or whatever, as we come into the era of Mashiach, of and what that means is, I don't want to get into at this point, that good and
Yeah.
evil will separate. So you can't have an institution that, like, I don't want to, I probably, like UNICEF or the UN or the Red Cross, that
Oh,
are purported to be doing wonderful things for humanity while they're involved in child trafficking and
yeah.
worse. So
Yeah.
um, yeah, I think that this light has to come with knowledge, so we can clearly see what's good and bad.
Well, we're already seeing it now, Eli. The whole year has been a testament to the wheat from the tare, separating the holy from the unholy, or the good versus evil. If you put oil and water together in a jar, they're going to separate, and so we're seeing that now. So yeah, 100% to that point. Yeah, as far as the DJT stuff, I want to get into that, but I think I want to wait till some of my other positions move to get into that, because we don't know what the high point of that in terms of the apex will be yet. We're watching. We have a team that follows that stuff astutely, so we'll keep an eye on it. But we haven't determined what that final number is yet. But Trump and his family are going to want to pump that up, because if at the very least, it served their interest and anyone who's investing in it, like yourself. So, yeah.
But
Um,
the thing is behind that what I'm seeing, what I'm thinking will happen is that he will use that platform to buy out some of the mainstream media corporations that have been destroying the world, like CNN, and
mhm, mhm.
these things are really dropping in value, and
Yep.
that the good guys have in place, I think Elon Musk as well, to buy these up. By the way, I just got on YouTube. I'm kind of focused on YouTube right now. I just got a second warning uh, by these creeps, and it's just like, will the censorship ever end? It really took me by surprise because I thought things were leaning and that things were more in control of the white hats. But to get a warning, this is my second warning, which makes it impossible for me to monetize until after February. I was already in the YouTube jail until the end of December. I thought, okay, if I can make it to December, maybe I can make a living again. And then they said they kicked the can down the road. So now it's the end of February. So I'm pretty much resigned to the idea that YouTube may not be the platform for me in the long run. And
Right.
so I am on X. If anybody wants to follow me on X, it's eWebstar13. And if God forbid, but I'm shocked that this censorship is still ongoing. And they made me take this little course, like, is this good or is this bad? I'm just like, I'm not in nursery school. It's just like, I got enough already.
We'll get your details at the end for the description. We'll put that in there, your X, to get it out to people. But
Thanks.
yeah, sure, no problem. I think what's happening, Eli, is that you're going to see the deep state the last couple of months of this year kicking and screaming on their way out, trying to, you know, pick apart whatever little, scraps they can get on their way out. I always use the analogy of a frat party. You get the party crashers, you catch them, you get rid of them, but in the meantime, they're throwing eggs and beer and toilet paper on their way out as disgruntled patrons. And so I think that's what you're seeing with the deep state. So I think in the new year you will see this stuff fodder off. It's also to show people, who's corrupt and who isn't as well. It gives the people clear and present signs. I know you have a limited amount of time, so I want to make the most of it for you in our respective audience. So you had asked me to share, I believe, off camera some of the updates, right? So since President Trump won, some really phenomenal things are happening in Iraq and Vietnam, which we will touch on briefly. I'm going to share this with you if I can find it here. Let me get to this screen. So this is let's see this is Majid. He's been bringing the heat here the last few weeks, right? So he said the Prime Minister Shia al-Sudani has expressed interest in collaboration with major oil companies to attract interest, meeting with Shell. So you have all these companies and countries coming into Iraq. Here's a key reason why, Eli, is that they have a port, much like the Strait of Hormuz you're familiar with. They have something called a port of FAU, and that is sort of an inlet for all the ships and all the shipping goods, containers and such, to go as a connection point between Iraq to Asia. So China has a vested interest in getting them into BRICS because they're going to need this stuff to go through because Iraq's going to be a powerhouse, right? And so they've signed memorandums of understanding, deals. Going into the Gazette is their legal newspaper. Once it hits the Gazette, it becomes official. It's a lot like once a president here signs an executive order and it goes into law, it goes into effect, it becomes legal and accountable. So that's a huge discovery point. I'm going to try to switch over to this other article if I can. If you can't see it, that's fine. I will stop and start again. So just bear with me here. Okay, let me know if you can see this. So he's reporting a green light. Iraq urging Turkey to open bank accounts to facilitate trades. That means Iraq's banks are going international, especially when another country is opening up in Iraq. The new rate has to be official on Forex. Now, remember, I told you last time, the rate on Forex currently is not the real rate. That's a suppressed, manipulated rate. And the way you know that is they're doing daily currency auctions. They're only supposed to be weekly, not daily. So what does that allow for? Money laundering of the dollar, right? So they said they were going to get rid of the money laundering of the dollar, or the currency auctions this year, not next year, this year, right? So you look here where it's highlighted in yellow. Al-Ilaq urged Turkish banks to open accounts, facilitate transactions. So part of becoming international is to have a solid banking system. The laws have to be passed, the HCL gas law. Sudani last week, I believe it was Sunday, did an undisclosed meeting over to meet with the Prime Minister Erdogan of Turkey to get the oil and gas deals done, as well as the water deals, because they're in the desert. Obviously, they're going to need water, just like the rest of us, especially you out there can appreciate that. So this is part of how you're doing business. So you're seeing them move quickly. Why? Well, because A, it's time, and B, President Trump won. Do you think they're really going to wait till he comes back to twiddle their thumbs and go, is he going to be like, what'd you do all this time? They don't want to have to answer to him. Look at what Putin said coming out less than a couple of days after Trump was announced. Hey, let's talk. Let's make a peace deal. They already did, but I'm just speaking for optics. So that's pretty exciting. Let me go to the next one here. Just bear with me, sir.
Sure.
Now this, I'm going to have to go into, just bear with me a second so I can share the sound with everybody. Put that on stereo for you. So we have the Israeli Defense Fund continues massive airstrikes in Beirut this was as of early this morning. So I'm going to just play this for you. Hopefully you can hear that. Okay, you saw that?
Yeah.
I don't know if you heard it. Hopefully, I don't know if you heard it as well, where the building went, they did a bomb on the side. So they're finishing up with Hezbollah in Lebanon, and I think they're just waiting for the signal for Trump and Soudani to basically say, go ahead with the attacks on the power plants, which is a necessary distraction per Kim Clement for everything to happen. But I also interviewed last week a major four-star general, which you can see on my channel, Major General Vallely, excellent guy, and he had people at the BRICS summit on the inside, so that's pretty hard to get. So he confirmed the power of BRICS, but he also said that we're going to have to, quote, deal with China, Taiwan this year. Well, why is that important? Because that deals with Putin finishing Ukraine, which we already know is done, but saying we're, again, reminding the public for optics, which then brings us henceforth with him allying with Xi on the Republic, not the CCP, right? And then they go in for a short invasion, 1 to 2 days. They're not going to create war. They're going to take it to the edge and then pull back, right? They got to get the public to see all this stuff. What they're really doing is removing the last factions of the deep states, a cleanup operation. That's what its intent is. But in achieving that, what they do, Eli, I'm saying, I know you know this, I'm saying there's a reprisal for the audience. What that does is help Vietnam break up enough out of corruption for the Vietnamese Dong. So we're pretty excited about what that brings here. What do we got? Like what, less than 6 weeks till Christmas and a month till Hanukkah, ostensibly. So we're watching very closely to see. We still got 2 more weeks in the month, basically, give or take, with the holidays. Still think that there's going to be exciting things look at just what's happened in the last week. If that's any indication, we know there's going to be a lot more happening. I would say, Eli, within the next 2 to 4 weeks, there's going to be a ton of things resolved financially and geopolitically.
Yes, things seem to be moving fast. I don't know, yeah, the thing with Bitcoin, I'm still a little bit uncertain about it. I mean, I've just been sort of indoctrinated into the idea that something is either good or bad, but you're right, it could be saved by gold. I thought XRP was supposed to be backed by gold, but these are all rumors. We don't even really know.
Not really, Eli, not to interrupt. I'm sorry, not really, because it's being utilized by BRICS. If you look at the unit, right? If you look inside the unit, and what is the tapestry of all these currencies? It's XRP. It's the bridge currency, the ISO 20022 M bridge currency that will allow for real-time settlements to happen away from the dollar. It just hasn't been activated yet, but they will be utilizing gold for sure.
How long do you think it will take for this? Are we waiting for the inauguration? Do you think it'll happen before that? Do you think the Brunson case will come into play? It's all a house of cards. I mean,
yeah. No, I'm not laughing at you. I'm laughing with you. I'm never laughing at you. So
no, that's
don't
fine.
get it. Don't audience like he's laughing at him. No, I'm not. I'm on the side, folks. Otherwise, why would we be doing this? People take things any which way. They're so triggered now. No, I'm laughing with you because I just had an interview yesterday with Lloyd Brunson, and I asked him these very questions. Will be coming out today, by the way. And he's not signed an NDA, which is good because it means he's free to share whatever. And then I said, a lot of speculation about your case has been going on. Is it a shadow case within the Supreme Court? And he basically, in his own words, said that they do have it and that they can preemptively do it whenever they want. There was speculation about whether they were going to do it for the election. Would there be an election? We see that, as Derek Johnson said, there was one because there needed to be one to show the public. Now we're on the other side of that, south of that movement. Now the question becomes, are they going to bring out the Brunson case prior to January, to your question? And he said, I'm paraphrasing, 50-50 chance. It's a possibility that they could preemptively pull the ripcord if they think his life is in danger enough, the deep state creates enough. Because you notice there's been some civil unrest, but it's been very nominal compared to what we thought it was going to be, anticipated to be. That doesn't mean they're done. We know they're scheming, and so do they, so meaning the Trump team. So the Brunson case is sitting there in the background waiting. If they feel that it's necessary to pull that ripcord, they will, and they'll bring him in prior to January. So he said it's a possibility, and moreover, they could do it without him even knowing. He would know, like us, after the fact.
Very interesting. Yeah, I'm really excited. I mean, I think Trump is just continuing to lay out things about education and new cities was very exciting. I think we're really heading for an incredible time period, whether it's a matter of weeks or months or years. It probably doesn't matter, but I don't see the deep state in the long run. They don't have the goods behind them, the fiat currency and even Bitcoin. It's supported by Tether, I believe. It doesn't have, and it doesn't have the weight, the power, the purpose, the utility that something like XRP or XLM has. So I it's an incredible time to be alive. But I'm telling my people, don't sit around waiting to be
No.
saved. Go out and do the best you can and make it happen.
Be solution oriented, be proactive. And I can tell you for 100%, we're not waiting years. I can tell you that. Get that out of your head. That's fear, brainwashed MK Ultra thinking of, oh my God, it's never going to happen. No, rebuke that. No, it's not. We don't do dates and rates. I will just tell you much sooner than later. Now, I just got some information, Eli, right off the press just now that I'll read to you. This is from Brothers Technology on X. Let's see. I'm just reading something here. So let's see. Bear with me a minute here. I want to read this to you and get it right. Okay. Now that they're launching a weekly shipping service on November 15th, tomorrow, going international for sure. Sunday, they will flip the switch 5 p.m. Eastern time when Forex opens. So this is according to Majid. You're also seeing Nelson Chamisa continuing to post more and more. His last post was "Time will tell." Kind of a little bit of a cryptic message there. Let me ask you this for your folks about Zimbabwe. Notice who congratulated President Trump on his victory from Zimbabwe. It was Chamisa. It wasn't Edwin Mingawa. A little critical thinking. And this is exciting. A guy that I'm not a big fan of, and I don't think you are either. Speaking of crypto, Gary Gensler looks like I'm going to read this to you if you just bear with me 1 second. This is off Smoke, off X. Gary Gensler just delivered what unmistakably sounds like a farewell speech. It's been a great honor to serve.
Well, Trump came out.
They expect him to be fired or step down before the end of the year. I told you, didn't I? Said he's not waiting till. Look at all the CEOs in the past, Eli. Look at historical replication, right? What did Warren Buffett do? He pulled his stocks out many, many months before the election. He didn't wait till the end. You think Gensler is going to wait till Trump's back in December or January to get fired and sacked and be publicly excoriated? Absolutely not. These guys always look for the cheap seats. So go ahead.
Yeah, no, I think it's great. No, Trump came out and said that he was going to fire him as soon as he got into office. So yeah, right. Gensler's just one of those puppets that
he's garbage,
despicable.
He's absolute garbage. I mean, he has all he's done is suppress and slow down our wealth transfer. But the fact of once he steps down, watch things move. I mean, you're seeing XRP moving up to about 75 cents. We think it's going to be $1, like I told you, and then it's just going to step up from there. So what I'm saying is watch for the patterns, ladies and gentlemen, of the cryptos with respect to the currencies as they move up into certain ranges, right? And I'll give you a hint, it's past $1. Watch for things to complete. Like I said, a major 4-star general who's still respected, highly respected, working with General McInerney, told us in no uncertain terms, China, Taiwan has to be dealt with this year. And I'll ask you a question, Eli. Do you honestly think that Iraq is going to allow Vietnam to go ahead of them and steal the
Mm,
spotlight? Absolutely not. Now,
interesting.
can they go? Can they go close proximity? I've been saying for a while. I think within a week or two, 1 to 2 weeks, give or take, they're gonna kitty corner off of each other for a variety of reasons. I could see a bang bang play, but I don't see this disparate move between the Nar and the Dong. I think they're going to go fairly side by side.
I would just say, to sort of just wrap it up, I would
Yeah,
just say to anyone listening that this is a time to figure out where you want to place your wealth when it comes. So don't wait until it comes and then go, okay, what do I want to do with this? I think you should have all your ducks in a row. If you're going to invest in property, you should know what property, who, everything should be ready to go. As soon as you get the money, you should be able to just launch into a new era of prosperity and peace and joy. And just, I would say, use this time now to really get yourself ready.
100%. And on that, the backs of that, Eli, before we do our message, where can people find your work? And since you meant your last words there.
Right. So I'm on YouTube, but I don't have a lot of faith in YouTube at this point. I'm on X, eWebstar13. That's probably the best way to get my. I do a live broadcast every 6 days a week, except for Shabbos. So I'm online a lot, and we explore these ideas as a family.
100%. And folks, to echo Eli's point, we've said on our channel, for those of you who are not on our channel yet or see it, sporadically, he's exactly right. We had a show with Nick Veniamin earlier this week, and we told the audience in no uncertain terms, if you're trying to get currencies or add to the cache of what you have now or trying to decide, now's the time. Because come December into the holidays, the shipping's going to slow down. We just told you what we see happening in December. Don't wait. Take full advantage of the window of time that you have now at the remainder of this month. If you're looking for bonds, currencies, blah, 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 we'll leave that link in the description. Also, we have great relationships with uh, precious metals dealers for physical coins, bars, junk silver, which we've always been an advocate, Eli and I. And if you have a 401k or an IRA, again, not a financial advisor, not giving you financial advice, just giving you solid information that you can use to discern for your own authority and family to govern. But if you do have a 401k or an IRA that you're sitting on the fence, we're seeing by January, the markets are really going to crater by then. There's going to be a dark period in the winter before Nasara Jasara fully kicks in. So take advantage of using these professional services and get physical gold and silver and just preserve your wealth. And we'll leave that link in the description. Brother Eli, always a pleasure to see you, my man. Look forward to seeing you again in December. And tomorrow, happy Shabbat Shalom.
Thanks so much, John. God bless.
God bless.
All right. Bye.